I'm that Logan chick, and today we're going to be looking at ink swatches. I won't be doing ink swatching because I've already done the swatching, but we will be looking at my ink record system in these two books. As you can see in the front of this book, I have my Inky Fingers currently inked notebook. So here are my currently inked pens. These were available in the past by Inky Fingers. They're no longer available as far as I know, but I have a stash of them, so I use them. But we won't be looking at those today. We'll be looking at these two books. First of all, we'll cover the notebook covers. This is by Hand Stitched Leather Tea online. They're not on Etsy, I don't believe. They have their own shop. Absolutely beautiful cover. And this is a Roterfaden. And I got mine at Jet Pens. But if you search Roterfaden, R-O-T-E-R-F-A-D-E-N, you can find out about them. And in the first of one is my formal ink records system. So I have an entry for every ink I own. As you can see, I have the name of the ink, the manufacturer, page number, and a tiny swatch. This notebook is Tomoe River paper, and it is a 4mm grid. The notebook is by Nanami 7 Cs. It is not a crossfield, it is a studio note. Let me just check that. Yeah, that is a studio note. Now, I started this book back in 2018 and began just entering, putting in an entry for each ink when I had ink in a pen, but I soon realized that was going to take forever to fill up. So in January of 2021, when we were under lockdown in my town and things were really boring and I was looking for something to entertain myself, what I did was I did an entry for inks that were not in use. And you'll see a lot of these look exactly the same nib made them. That's because the same nib did make them. That nib is a medium stub in my Serendipity dip pen by James Finnis. The giant cat is Nell. She scares me, so I'm not going to send her away. I'll let her go when she's good and ready. Yes, I'm scared of my cat. She bites. She's lovely, but she bites. I know. Sometimes she bites when you pet her. Sometimes she bites when you don't pet her. There's no rhyme or reason to it. She's a very pissy cat. So I have 148 inks. Let me check. 146 inks. And each ink has a page entry where the manufacturer and then the ink name, the size of container it comes in. Note that I don't do this for samples. I only do this for bottles that I own. So the type of container it comes in this case, it's a 20ml glass bottle inside a box. Come on, keep going now. Keep going now. Nope, she's not going. Maybe I can prod her and get her to keep going. I'll bring this up a bit. And an inky iris, it's a thing I do. A crosshatch, some scribbles, hit it with a water brush, a bigger swatch, my comments and thoughts on the ink. And then whenever it goes into a pen, the nib, the name of the pen, and when it was inked goes in the book. So there are inks that I've put under here that have no entries because I haven't inked them since I made this book. There are other inks that have numerous entries. And some just have singles. Tomoe River paper shows sheen incredibly well. You can see that really nicely. But sheen is not actually a thing I seek out. I am not someone who is running out to buy Sheen Machine or the iridescent or any of the sheening inks. I prefer my inks to just be color. So that's the detailed part of my ink record system. Then in my Roterfaden is my ink swatches book. This is Cosmo Air Light paper. It sheens as well as does Tomoe River paper, but it also shows shading beautifully, and it is completely non-ghosting. You'll notice that I have no pages in between. I am able to put a heavy swatch on each page with no problems. So when I started this system, I did this also in January of 2021, right after I did my pen records book. I decided I should swatch everything on Cosmo Air Light paper because I'm switching to Cosmo Air Light paper, seeing as Tomoe River is unavailable. I decided to go with color families. So this is taupes and cool browns. And originally I was trying to limit myself to 10 per grouping, 10 per color family. So some inks ended up in the leftovers at the end that didn't fit quite as well in a color family. But here we go. I've got 10 taupes and cool browns. Just going to leave that up rather than saying the name of each of them, which is really unnecessary. If you want, you can read them. Here we have teal, turquoise, and green tinted blues. You can see crazy sheen here. You can see some shimmer and some sheen here. It's my deep reds and maroons. I don't have as many of them. Blue, black, and classic blues. Nell has finally left. Here's my murky pond scum colors. Now you might see the occasional color, like some of these guys will show up again in other places that they fit well. But this is what I call the murky pond scum colors. I adore this page. There's always something inked in my currently inked pens from this section. I'm trying to show dark sheening on these guys, almost black sheening. Dusty purples. Here we have a bonus, Ferris Wheel Press Peter Moss. I bought this after I had finished the book. It's a new addition to my ink collection. Robert Oster, khaki, bronze, and melon tea belong in this group because this is woodland greens, as I define them. Yeah, woodland greens. I got a bit hokey with my naming. Now we have the amber tones, which I've divided into the more yellows and the more oranges. Just look at the shading on El Dorado. Too bad it takes forever to dry. Ancient Copper has that sheen on it. Warm and Golden Browns. I have Ferris wheel pressed writing desk. Nell walked across before the ink was dry on the name. And her little toes did that, her toe floofs. Karub de Chypre is a shimmering ink. Let's see if I can get that to show up. I don't think I can get that to show up on camera. But you can definitely see the sheen in the Cavese Honey. Dusty Pinks. I like my Dusty Pinks. My favorite ink. In fact, that is the ink that is used for all of the naming, is Colorverse C Europa. I'll skip the next page. Then we have my Bright Pinks and Corals. I'm ever in search of the perfect coral ink. Coral is one of my favorite colors, but so far I've just found incredibly bright inks and not quite the right shade, too pink, way too pink. You know, this is close. Better than that. That one is not coral, it's neon orange. Then we get into out of color families and into more classifications. So I have my Candy Brights. I'll start here in case anyone wants to look at a color name. And then move it up. Candy Brights. Here's my unsaturated shaders and shifters. So the color shifting inks, or chromo shading inks, I believe they're called, get in here, like Vintaperia and Sailor Mano Haha and Sailor Studio 273, Sailor Studio 162. I stuck my lighter grays because they shade beautifully in here as well. And then I had my unclassified extras, Robert Oster Bondi Blue, Sailor Gentle Rikucha should have gone in the Woodland Greens, but at the time I was limiting myself to 10 inks per page, which was just silly in retrospect. And that is it. That is my ink collection. I love a great many of these inks, but my favorites are mostly found on this page. These are the ones that get a lot of use. Second favorite ink, Robert Oster Viola. It's just a beautiful, pale, unsaturated purple that shades incredibly well. Yeah, that's my ink collection. The other book I have in this Roterfaden is my Currently Inked book. And as you can see, I do these inky irises. I like them because they really help to show off. Actually, let's do that with zooming. Help to show off shading. Like there. And sheening. Come on, I can see you sheen. Okay, I can see these two sheen in person. Or this one in particular sheen. Oh, there it is. And there's some sheen in them. Monteverde Scotch Brown as well. And And that is my currently inked page. So over the course of using the pen and ink, I come up with whatever my commentary is. Usually there are things like nice, lovely, love this combination, perfect pen match, etc. But little reminders like I needed to heat set that nib and things like that. Nib was recently tuned, so I put who tuned it. It's Jack Hernandez. He does a great job. You can find him at Jack Okun, JACK.OKUN on Instagram. He will respond and he will grind your nibs beautifully. Does a great job. So yeah, that's my currently inked. Here are most of my pens. Most of my currently inked. There are 2 pens off to the side. One because it doesn't fit in the pen block, and the other because it dries out if I don't have it stored horizontally. So they just lay there. And that was Nell again, getting in the way. Come on, scooch. Okay. Well, I guess Nell is saying goodbye. Thank you very much. I hope this was vaguely entertaining. Bye-bye.